Hey everybody, this is Pastor Teresa. Thank you so much for joining me today for another one of our virtual Sunday School episodes of Celebrate Wonder. Today we are going to be talking about a really special meal that Jesus had with his disciples, and we call this the Last Supper. But before we dive into that story today, I'd like to invite you to join me in singing a fun song.
You guys stomp your feet like that? And let's clap together. That's it. Keep it going. Let's sing this little light of mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
All right, keep clapping now. Sounds good? Everywhere I go.
Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine.
Yes,
Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Oh, that sounds so good. That's called clapping on the backbeat. All right, sing this real quiet with me now.
Even when I'm afraid, I'm gonna let it shine. Even when I'm afraid, I'm gonna let it shine.
Yes, even when
I'm afraid, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Oh, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
The Last Supper. Luke chapter 22, verses 14 through 20. Jesus and his friends had traveled to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover feast. They couldn't wait to eat good food and celebrate God's love. Jesus told his friends, "I am glad to eat this Passover meal with you." Then Jesus held the cup and gave thanks to God. "Take this cup and share it." Then Jesus picked up a loaf of bread. He broke the bread, blessed it, and gave it to them. "Do this to remember me," said Jesus to his disciples. After supper, Jesus said, "This cup is the new promise, the new covenant. Drink it and remember me." I wonder, can you remember a time when you felt God's love?
Hey everyone, I'm Abigail. In our Bible story for today, Jesus is at dinner with his friends for the Passover meal. Passover is an important Jewish holiday that happens every year. Sharing meals was also a normal community activity in Jesus' time. Jesus sat down at many tables with his friends, sharing their time and coming together over food. But this one was different. Jesus took bread and broke it. He said to them, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." Then he took the cup after the meal and said, "This cup is the new promise, the new covenant. Drink it and remember me." The disciples didn't understand everything Jesus was saying, but they knew this was special, and they were glad to be together. This meal they shared is an important meal we remember. Sometimes people take communion at church. When they do this, they are celebrating and remembering the Passover meal and the words and teachings of Jesus. But there are also other ways to remember this special meal. We can do this by eating with friends or family and thanking God for our food and time together. Communion can happen in many different ways, but when we do it to remember this meal, when Jesus asked the disciples to keep coming together to remember him when he was no longer with them. Last year, my best friend moved away. Right before she left, we had a big pizza party to celebrate her. It was so fun. We played games and laughed with our friends until we had to go home. Now, I have a pizza party with my other neighbors once a month. Whenever we have it, I remember my friend who moved away and all the fun times we had together. I also remember what an awesome friend she is, so I try to be an awesome friend too. Jesus invites his friends to remember him and the things he taught them by gathering together and sharing a meal. When we take communion, we remember who Jesus is and what he did for us. We are asked to live like Jesus and remember our faith through his life. So the next time you are taking communion at church or sharing a meal with family and friends, take a moment to look around. Be grateful for the people with you and the time you have together, and remember Jesus. Now it's your turn to wonder.
Alice Waters and the Trip to Delicious. Written by Jacqueline Briggs Martin. Illustrated by Helen Choi. Some people want new red shoes. Some want to sing on stage or play basketball. Chef Alice Waters wants every kid in the country to come with her on the trip to Delicious. She wants the hungry kids, the happy kids, the tall kids, the short kids to have a delicious lunch every day. She wants them to know the taste of good food, know the story of food. Every kid, millions of kids. Where did Alice Waters get such an idea? Well, Alice Waters has always been friends with food. When she was 3 years old, she wore food. A lettuce leaf skirt, radish bracelets, a necklace of strawberries, a crown of asparagus, and won first prize in a costume contest. Won! Little Alice was also looking for delicious, and she found it in fresh green beans, sweet corn, and just picked blueberries. Alice was always very aware of smells and flavors. As a child, she loved applesauce, grilled steak, and strawberries, but not bananas or dry brown bread. When she was in college, Alice went to France and studied food, not books. She walked the markets, tasting savory onion soup, buying sweet carrots, warm bread, sausages. She and her French friends spent hours cooking, eating, talking, and laughing. In her travels, Alice learned wonderful food was like a symphony that woke people up, made them happier. Sharing good food could start a party, make memories. Once, in Turkey, a boy had shared tea and his last bits of cheese with Alice and her friends. She said that kindness changed her life. Back home, Alice wanted to take her American friends on the trip to Delicious. She wanted them to have the meals and the good times she had loved in France. She searched long hours for fresh vegetables, fish, meat, and herbs. She simmered stews, roasted chickens, baked tarts. Her friends filled Alice's place and stayed for hours enjoying the amazing dinners. People who ate Alice's meals called her a genius with food. But her home wasn't big enough for all her friends. Chez Panis. Alice started to dream of a new kind of restaurant with wonderful food and helpful waiters. A small restaurant that welcomed people to eat, sit, and visit. Alice found a place, fixed it up with her friends, and named it after Panis, a kindly character from a French movie. Chez Panis. Panis's house was like a house, a home where the staff, chefs to dishwashers, worked together, laughed together, and ate together. That first night, they had such a crowd, they ran out of food. And that was a problem. Finding enough fresh, tasty food. Frozen food was handy. Food that had been on the shelves for days was cheap. But those were not right for the trip to delicious. Alice worked day and night finding just the right food. She drove to the fish and poultry markets in Chinatown so often that her car began to smell like a fish wagon and no one wanted to ride with her. Alice could never resist sharing delicious food. Once she was carrying fresh strawberries on an airplane. Everyone on the plane could smell them. One by one, they asked to taste a berry. By the time the plane landed, Alice was out of berries. Alice and her friends picked wild fennel beside railroad tracks, knocked on strangers' doors, and asked to pick mulberries from their trees. She planted lettuce in her own yard. As news of Chez Panis spread, growers brought baskets of their best vegetables to the back door. Alice noticed that these plump, fresh vegetables had the richest flavor. She began to pay foragers to go out into the country to find others who took good care of the earth, their crops, and their animals. The delicious meals she wanted to serve to her customers began not in the kitchen, but in the field, with good soil and thoughtful farmers. Alice also visited farms. She walked the fields with farmers, tasting just-picked carrots or radishes, sometimes even a bit of soil. Once she found the ingredients, Alice tasted every dish the chefs cooked. Maybe it needed a bit of onion, an extra squeeze of lemon. She wanted every meal to be a symphony of flavor. If it did not taste just right to Alice, it couldn't be served. Alice Waters and the Chez Panis family have cooked for a U.S. president and a prince, even the Dalai Lama. Alice was the first woman to win the James Beard Award for Outstanding Chef of the Year. Tasting just right does not always mean fancy food. Alice says a carefully fried fresh egg or a ripe melon can be plenty for a party. Alice cooked for kids, too. At the restaurant, they made a special kids' dipping salad with a little lettuce heart, carrot curls, and a bowl of oil and vinegar. Alice made school lunch for her daughter Fanny. Leafy greens, garlic toast, a piece of last night's chicken, some tasty surprise to make her smile. As she planned Fanny's lunches, she wondered about other kids. Were they eating lunch? A good lunch? Every day, walking from her home to Chez Panis, Alice passed a school with no kitchen, just a hut at the edge of the parking lot where students could buy packaged foods, tired flavors.
Soda, chips.
Alice wanted those students to eat meals that would make them smile, that would make a party. She wanted to take those school kids on the trip to delicious. She came up with an idea. Students could grow their own food. They would taste fresh green peas, red tomatoes, kale, carrots, ripe apples. To introduce the edible schoolyard idea to parents and students, Alice and the Chez Panisse staff invited them to a special taco dinner at the school. The dinner was a huge success. Students had so much fun flattening masa dough into tortillas, they didn't want to quit. It took 2 years to remove the pavement and get the soil ready. Then they planted. Teachers and students went to the garden to study the science of soil, the math of spacing seeds in a row, and the histories of vegetables. School kids learned to cook the vegetables in a kitchen classroom. They learned to make eating a special time, with colorful plates, tablecloths. Lunch with Alice tasted good. This is what Alice Waters knows. Fresh food, grown in healthy soil, brings us joy. The same joy we get from a beautiful song or a starry sky. And every kid deserves that joy. The edible school. Alice travels thousands of miles to help grow more edible schoolyards, to spread the word about the vegetable symphony. Because Alice Waters is sure kids who know good food, who grow, gather, and share good food, will care about the soil, care about farmers, care about everyone having enough to eat. Kids who get to delicious can change the world.
Is everywhere, in pictures and songs that hang in the air to show us the way you love. And we sing along and you're teaching us why you washed our feet. The greatest must become the least. 'Cause there's power in these things we do them to remember you, how we called out and you came through for us. We remember your love. You blessed and broke the bread. You gave us a way to taste what you said, 'cause you poured out everything. And you never wanted us to forget the promises we heard, and how you give and keep your word. So there's power in through for us. We remember your love. We remember your love.
So today we talked about a really special meal that Jesus had with his disciples, and you may have heard a new word today, communion. Now, communion is something that we celebrate in our church the first Sunday of every month. It's part of our worship service, and we share together in a special meal that we call communion. Now, we don't eat a whole meal together. It's not like we're sitting down and eating pizza together. But it's a symbolic meal, and we share together in eating bread and drinking juice. In some churches, they drink wine, but in the Methodist Church, we have grape juice so that everybody can have communion. And also in the Methodist Church, everyone is invited to the table of Jesus. And so kids can have communion, but really you should talk with your parents about it to see if they think that you are ready to go with them to the communion table. But all are welcome at Jesus's table. So every time that you share in a meal just with your family, I want you to think about how you can still remember in a meal that Jesus loves you and that you love Jesus. And we can always share in a prayer before our meal as we give thanks to Jesus. And the next time that you're at church, I hope that you will be able to take communion if you want to do that on a Communion Sunday. And if you have any questions about that, I hope that you'll reach out to me. I hope you guys are having a great week, and I hope to see you soon.